Hello. Welcome to the first episode of Saturday Spin. I'm your host, Charles Sayers. Guest host with me, of course, is Patrick and Paul. Thank you both for coming.
Thank you.
It sounds
Zero
so good
listener.
that it sounds fake.
Zero listener.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
definitely AI.
Yeah. This guy's voice is so sexy.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to our political corner. Now, I would like for everyone who's listening to understand that the views and thoughts of this podcast do not reflect anything other than we are human beings. We are adults having an adult conversation. We will have other guests who are also adults, and we just appreciate everything. We're going to dig in to facts, many different sides of facts, regardless on how they're presumed by our societal norms. We're just going to tell y'all from our point of view. So the first couple of episodes, foundationally, of course, they're just like pilot episodes for everything else. We're going to break down some of the foundations of the United States politics. And then afterwards, kind of the middle of the show to finish the show, we're going to ask out loud to each other why the National Guard wasn't sent on January 6th. And the more we continue to dig on this, the crazier it seems to get. All while our government is still shut down. I believe we're on like day 17 or some stupid.
Yeah, we're way up there.
So I wanted to kind of get y'all's opinions first on this government shutdown. And I'll throw mine out there, right? I've got two very specific points that I wish would come into fruition. One, if you are a sitting member of either Congress or the House of Representatives and the government shuts down during your time, you lose your ability to go for re-election in the next year. Like your whole fucking job, excuse my language, but your whole job is to keep the government up and running. Like that is literally your job. And you have failed at it while you're still getting paid and others aren't. And that's the hoopla. Thank goodness there was money redirected from research funds. And if you're going to yell about that, you're just angry to be angry, and that's fine. Yell all you want. We will definitely listen to you. But understand that we know that you're just angry to be angry. Like, because you're not going to probably come at us with a bunch of facts, because arguing that our military and other items don't deserve to get paid while Congress is still getting paid and the reason for the shutdown, you're crazy to me. And I'm probably going to be thinking about Teletubbies when you're talking, if we're all being honest. And then the other one, too, is for the love of God, how is there not term limits? If I see Senator McConnell fall one more time,
That was bad.
I might start hurting my hip.
That
So
was
that's
bad.
just two things that are really, really kind of on my focus. I'd like to give the floor to Patrick on this one first, and then we'll jump down to PR. Or, I'm sorry, Paul.
Whatever you desire.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Welcome, Charles. Welcome, Paul. I'm happy to be here. Obviously, I claim myself as a conservative, law-abiding citizen. That's what I conservatively view myself as. Now, I know that Charles, on the other hand, kind of is in the same boat as me on a lot of political things and political views. Paul down here, though, is where we're going to get a little spicy. He's a little bit different than Charles and I, but that's what makes us all get along, and that's how we all view each other like brothers. This is a brotherhood. This is a group. We've been doing a podcast for 3 years now, sports-oriented. It's been fantastic, and this is a completely different realm of language for the three of us. I mean, it's been something that we've been talking about doing for a long time, and it's something that we think that maybe you guys would like to hear. Paul, you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Hey, what's going on? My name's Paul, also known as PR on the other spectrum of the podcast, but that's neither here nor there. Me personally, I'm not registered Republican or Democrat. I'm more so what is going to benefit the country the most, and not just in the aspect of skin color, race, gender, whatever. It's at the end of the day, we have our beliefs, we have our morals, we have our views, we have our understanding of what we want and what we desire this country to look like and operate. Is that happening right now to its fullest potential. I personally don't believe that that's the case. I believe that we are falling short in certain aspects. Just speaking on what Charles said, the first thing, the whole government shutdown. I made a post the other day, and a lot of people got upset because of the verbiage. I guess they just didn't understand. I said, if the government is shut down, why did Congress and the senators still get paid while the military and federal workers are either getting furloughed or getting limited checks? And my sense is, me and Charles have been in the military already. We already know we don't get paid. Did we have a lot of benefits taken care of?
I think it's like 24 cents an hour is what it broke down to.
We weren't getting paid luxury money to be in
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah.
Yes, people are going to say, well, you signed up. Yes, we signed up. However,
two things can be true at the same time.
Just because we signed up, that we also live this lavish lifestyle. And then on the other side of that, you have these sitting congressmen and women, senators, men and women, that are getting paid not only by the government, but you also have wherever else you're getting your investments from. So you're sitting here collecting money from the government while there's federal workers out here not collecting a check because you guys can't get your stuff together. And one guy's telling me the king needs to eat before he can have everybody else. I'm like, so you're telling me it's okay for everybody sitting in Washington to eat off this big plate while the American people have to suffer? How is that making America great again?
Yes, sir. And you see me chuckling here because you had thrown me onto a point with Congress salary. The average salary for senators and representatives is $174,000 annually.
6 figures a year.
Yeah,
and you're on vacation right now.
But since 2009, they have declined any. How did they word it? This figure has remained unchanged since 2009 due to Congress voting annually to reject a cost of living increase.
So you can come to an agreement for that, but you can't come to an agreement to keep the government.
They fear public backlash, so they don't want to do it.
I do understand, though, that the politicians most of the time have to keep a apartment in Washington and have to maintain their home, and that is pretty costly. I do understand that aspect of it, that they don't make as much money as we think they do, but at the end of the day, they aren't even in service 90% of the time.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point too. But it's
in session, myself. I'm sorry.
No, but here's the kicker to me with that would be, why don't they build a, like a what are those little condominiums? Right? Why don't they build a basic condominium for senators and representatives? So why does old boy got to have a house on a hill in DC
because
and a house on a hill in Washington?
They can't stop from arguing with each other when they're in session, let alone be in the same building with each other.
Why don't they build a barracks?
They should.
They should
just
build
separate
a barracks for Congress.
Just separate it.
They should put people.
Democrats and freaking Republicans.
It worked in basic training.
No, you don't get your little cliques.
And I am in a total agreement with you. There needs to be a term limit. There has to be an age cutoff of how old you could be, one, to run for office. Because if the president, the most powerful office in the land, has a term limit, why doesn't everything else have a term limit? What is the point of having these 80-year-old grandpas making these decisions and they can't even stand up straight?
The fact that some states have term limits and other ones don't, that never has made sense to me.
Well, since we're on this too, how would you audit a U.S. senator for effectiveness? Or any of you?
And when you audit a CEO or a supervisor, let's see what your last 90 days look like. Let's see what your last 45 days. Let's look at your last term. What did you do that was proactively helping your district or your state?
For anybody out there who's hella smart in the computer world, in the coding sense, creating a database. Y'all created a database for ICE. That's cool. Whatever. Do your thing. But you should create a database for U.S. Senator effectiveness and develop a Center for Effective Lawmaking. Oh, the Center for Effective Lawmaking scores measure how successful a senator is at sponsoring bills, moving bills through committees, getting bills passed in law. leadership and influence, financial and ethical transparency, public engagement and
So
constitute
they're already
service,
graded on this?
voting record and policy, votesmart.org,
So there's
govtrack.us.
already an algorithm out there.
Yeah, but
Oh,
it
I
tells us
understand.
right, and you
Of
got to go
course,
find
this is how it goes.
Absolutely.
It's private information.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. We need to create an algorithm that goes into these .gov sites and pulls this information for us and puts it onto a blank page. It'd be so cool if that was there. It would suck for the senators and representatives because,
Again,
like,
I hate to tell
you
you
would
this,
actually
but
have to
the
do your
conversation we're
job.
having right now, they would shut that app down immediately.
Why?
If it
Oh,
wasn't
I
in
know,
their
I agree
favor.
with
I'm
you.
saying
Oh,
I
no,
know
I
why.
agree with you,
No,
but
why
then-
isn't it?
Yeah.
Why it
Yeah.
doesn't it exist? Yes, correct.
It's
But
like
that's-
Charles said, these jokers would have to actually show up to work and actually do something effectiveness. Because again,
Oh, there'd be show
in
cause.
the corporate world, right? Even
Yeah.
in the military, when we were in the military, you had counseling statements every month that would dictate how your last 30 days were. You had, if you're a sergeant or an NCO in the military, you have an NCOER that dictates how your leadership was based off of what you did for the last 30 days. Same thing for officers. So, and these dictate how you get promoted moving forward. When you become an NCO, your NCOER determines how you're going to move up in this line. What details are you going to be assigned to? What duty stations are? All these things play a factor when you have these NCOERs. So why can't we do the same thing with people sitting in the office in Washington?
Is that why that they're so lackadaisical with their policy and
Nobody's
with their
holding
voting
them
and stuff?
accountable.
Well, that nobody's holding them accountable, and they feel like there's no term limit. So as long as people still think they're doing a good job, or enough people think they're doing a good
They'll get
job,
the vote.
they're going to keep the votes and
Yeah.
they're going to stay there. That's exactly why it is probably the way that it is. I mean,
Mitch McConnell, when was he elected into Congress?
he had to have been there. I'm going to say he's been in there for 46 years.
I think mid
1980
70s.
1985.
Yeah. For what?
Kentucky.
So
Who the-
40 years. 40 years he's been
Kentucky.
in
All
office.
right.
And how old is he now? Like 70 something?
McConnell's got to be like damn near 90.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi. When was
I
she
think-
elected?
70s as well.
81.
Or maybe 80.
87.
Oh.
Born in 88.
Yeah, neither one of you were thinking
No,
about
you're
Nancy.
telling me this woman, and listen, I don't care if
She's
you're
an
Republican or
afterthought for you.
Democrat.
Ronnie
There's no
fucking
reason
Deutsch.
why you should be sitting there for 40 years.
No, there's no
sense.
reason.
There's no reason why you
You
should be
should
sitting
not
in
be
office.
there.
All right, we're on Nancy
Nobody.
Pelosi. You guys want to talk about the fact that do you believe that her stock market trades are valid? Is she
I don't
insider
think any
trading?
Congress- I don't think any senator
think
or representative
All of them should be audited when it
So
comes to their
while
stock trades.
Trump did it, the only thing that I think a lot of people on both sides of the aisle are agreeing with is Trump decided that there's the Nancy Pelosi rule or law, and that they will no longer be able to hold stock.
They
I think it's
shouldn't.
as soon as next term, not this term, but the next term of the president, I believe it goes
Nobody
into
sitting
effect.
in office should have that many stocks or that many secrets.
Not Fortune 500 companies that they can sway
Allegedly,
and they
because
can.
You just happen to put money in the right stock.
This is political
Senators
lobbying.
can still hold in trades. A bipartisan push to ban congressional stock ownership is gaining momentum. No law has passed yet, but pressure
No.
is mounting.
They definitely need to make that a thing. There's
Oh,
no,
yeah.
because again, you're already getting paid six figures, right? Now you're stock trading while you're sitting in office, because of course people are lobbying and people are giving you insider secrets whether they want to admit it or not.
You'll never convince me that they don't know what's going to happen with the stock market when you can there's literally an app that tracks them trading and dumping stocks
And
2 to
they're
3
making
days before the New York Stock Exchange posts it.
and they're making millions of dollars.
Never going to convince me.
I
Never.
do want to give a shout out to Josh Haley. I've been watching a lot of his videos and his grilling. The grilling on both sides is so different. It's probably mostly my algorithm, so I'm hoping to change that to get an opposite side view. But one argues with facts and the other argues with feelings. And that makes no sense to me, because why is Congress arguing anything at all? Don't we have a court system? Like, why does Congress become a judge? And all it does is waste taxpayer money. So why does Congress become a judge and then maybe a court in one of the states will pick it up? Like, why isn't this just being done in a courtroom as it stands? I mean, these people lie, cheat, and steal,
I believe
and
it's
nothing
because
happens to them.
Most of the American public believes the judicial system is completely broken.
That's an understatement.
Both sides can agree on that, but when they agree, it's agree to disagree, because it's only when it's in their favor that they do disagree or agree with it. And that's part of the problem too. We're such a divided country now because of the judicial system, the way that people view the police, that they're not doing their job, that they can't do their job. It all stems back to public opinion, perceived opinion based off of what side of the aisle you want to stand on.
We'll get to that in future episodes as well. We'll do a hyper focus on police support, where it came from, where it's gone, why it's going. I'm very glad you brought those up. And that could very well be. I live in such a black and white world, right? Where it's very simplistic to me. If you're holding a hearing, that should be in the judicial system.
Correct.
Black and white. Congress shouldn't be wasting time running these hearings, wasting taxpayers' money when we already have a system that gets paid to do that. It just seems like wasteful spending to me. And then it's just a clown and pony show on C-SPAN. That's all it's there for. You're there to create some social media buzz to try and hit the younger people to keep your job. You're doing nothing else but that. And it's super frustrating to me. And again, I enjoy watching it. It's entertainment. But PBS is taxpayer-funded entertainment. Put it on that.
Yeah.
Well, they cut that off, so
yeah, they did. There's no contract for that either. I think C-SPAN is government regulated. I'd have to dig into that one, but yeah, I would highly assume that PBS had nothing to do with it. They were all
Mr. Rogers is upset.
Yeah, they were like educational programming, which
growing up too.
Yeah, we all did, I believe. The Magic School Bus was on there too. Yeah, all those shows. I believe what's his face was on PBS too, the painter.
To be fair,
Bob Ross.
Yeah. To be fair, in my opinion, the PBS we grew up on
was way different.
Completely different.
The PBS today was trying to tell you things, right?
Even that little cartoon showing you how bills and the Constitution is made, that was super informative.
It was actually coming out of the book. Nowadays,
the little bill on the stairs that was all upset and everything. What's wrong? I'm taking too long to get past through the house.
This media culture, whichever side you want to look at it, this culture is.
They wanted you stupid, and now they're upset you're stupid.
And it's like if you try to even get some type of education or try to do any research and combat them, they're like, "Whoa, that's false news." No, I got this from your people. What you talking about?
A question for the two of you.
All right.
What you're saying right now kind of lead me into this thought. So you know how we all have email, we all get spam, junk email, right?
Yeah.
Is half of the stuff that you're seeing on television when it becomes being pushed politically kind of feel like mind spam? Like it's visual spam for the brain, like for the younger generation? Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I'm glad I am who I am. Right. Once you're a consumer based system telling me how you feel, regardless on if I agree or disagree with you, I tend not to shop at you anymore.
Right, it should be a choice. It's my personal choice.
I don't care what the hell you do. I don't care who you vote for. I care that you vote.
Yeah.
That's very important to me. I wish you would vote educationally, but again, that's seconded to I just care that you vote. Now I have a wish, but my ultimate care is that you vote. Now, again, educationally would be better. So now Heinz Ketchup came out and was like, I hope only Republicans buy my ketchup. I'm not buying your ketchup, bro. Like, and it's not because I support Democrats specifically.
You're just being terrible.
And
that is an extremely
absolutely.
What do you want to call
hard
it?
take.
One-sided
now
view.
Listen. Now, don't. Heinz didn't fucking say that. I was using it as an example.
This is a theory. This is just a hypothetical.
Although,
be careful with that symbol you're flying.
Although there was a significant food battle between Heinz and French's. I think it was like 2019.
We brought it up on the show.
If you're a consumer-based item, like in the 90s, it was like growing up and whatnot. Like you didn't tell people that, like it was taboo because you were losing money the moment you started solidifying yourself into one crowd. Like it doesn't make sense to me. Like, yes, I have my opinions and I like to express them because
Can
we're in
we?
areas that we
You want to
can.
bring up the most recent one that we had?
Go ahead.
Budweiser.
Well, that was the one that's going to be on everywhere.
I'm not trying to make this political. I'm just saying that they really forced themselves into one side of an issue with what they did, the videos. That's kind of how it was. And then they had to recant that. And I believe they're doing much better now.
Even still, I don't buy Bud Light anymore. I don't care that you got rid of the person who did it. One person in that building didn't create that. Like, everybody else had to okay it.
That was a foundational decision throughout the entire company. Yeah.
And you had Joe Rogan and a bunch of people come on, and they do so many great things for veterans. They should have thought about that. They should have thought about the great things they do for not only veterans, but the entire community when they decided to split themselves off from their main group and go in a random direction. Now, cool. I'm glad you did.
So my issue when it comes to when people boycott stuff, and you boycott whatever you want. That
well, Paul, just take Netflix right now as an example.
Well, not even just Netflix. I'm just gonna throw it out there and just be that guy. We're Bad Bunny, right?
Yep.
Right. Everybody's talking about this, that he's not American, yada yada yada, whatever. Right. When I made this comment on the post, the same people that are saying they're going to boycott the Super Bowl said the same thing 17, like I don't know how many years ago when Colin Kaepernick took a knee, you said you were going to boycott the NFL. Why are you so worried about the halftime show? You said you weren't going to watch the NFL anymore anyway. So why are you here?
Yeah. And I've never understood why people feel the need to tell me they're not going to do something either.
I don't care.
I never knew
it changes nothing about what I got to do every day.
I never knew a company wasn't allowed to decide who they wanted at the halftime show, and you had a choice not to watch it.
I mean, if you're upset with the NFL's choice on their halftime show, they should find out after the halftime show. I'm sorry that
how are you already going to say this is going to be the worst halftime show, and we still got 4.5 months before the show gets here?
When did we get to a point that screaming out loud meant anything?
Just because you scream doesn't make you right.
Loudest person in the room has the most to lose.
We could have the craziest looking logo, the coolest people, the best voices. That doesn't mean anybody's going to listen to us.
And I just feel like when you boycott something, fine, but make sure what you're boycotting follows what you're believing in, your values, your morals. If you're just boycotting to follow a trend, you look like an idiot. Like if you're going to boycott something, make sure that it means something to you.
Most people are getting their news effectively from TikTok.
Well, Paul, to be fair, most people are upset is because of what he said about you're going to have to learn English if you want to listen to the halftime show. I think that's what most people are mad about.
Yeah, learn Spanish.
Okay. Yeah, learn Spanish.
Okay. Well, you don't have to watch it. You could turn the TV off.
Oh, no, we talked about that.
And I don't blame Bad Bunny at all.
Why is it his fault?
But at the same time, with that comment,
that was not a good thing to say. There's going to be closed captioning. I think it was supposed to be a joke, and I think people took it the wrong way. But whatever. Either way, you shouldn't have said it.
Culture, I think, is getting to be.
Oh, it's wild.
It's getting out of control.
Here's the kicker, though: the boycotting and the cancel culture has all stemmed from these companies deciding to tell you who to vote for.
Right, they're picking a side.
Like. They're not telling you who they like. And maybe
do your own research, educate yourself. And if you have questions, that's when you ask those important questions to people around you and not just assume that because what you see on social media, that's the right answer.
Yeah. So question, if Bud Light came out and went, hey, y'all do what you want. These views over here, it's not that they align with our company, but personally, we agree with them. And as a person in a position to help those people, I'm going to help those people. But this isn't a Bud Light thing, right? Like this is just, hey, but like, I guess what I'm trying to say is if they came out it more personally in a singular sense than in a all or nothing sense.
It felt very politically motivated. Yeah.
Would that feel less political?
I feel like
or would that be a mute point?
I feel like we're able to have a conversation.
I think it falls on
about what happened with Bud Light, right? It's what happened with their whole branding that happened a few years ago. I feel like if you're having a conversation with me and you're voicing your opinion on why you're doing this or why you're going this route, I'm like, okay, that's on you, right? That's your company. That's what you got to do. Let's just say that it's Charles. It's your for story purposes, it's your beef jerky, right? You selling jerky, and then you decide to go with a specific brand that's, for this story point, left leaning, right?
Right.
And Patrick is like, "Yo, I don't think that's a smart idea."
Yo,
Listen,
I'm sticking with my jerky, baby.
listen. If that's your prerogative, do you? This is what I believe in. If people approach it that way, things could be so much smoother. However, if you're going to shove it down my throat, whether it's left leaning or right leaning, 9 times out of 10, whatever other side doesn't like it, they're gonna go balls deep and be like, "Yo, this is stupid. We're not doing this. We're not eating this."
It was more about who they decided to get to try and say it. And now there was a bunch of people, and that was just one can, but this dude had nothing but like children followers. It had absolutely nothing to do with the fact that, like, you could have went out and got Jeffree Star and you would have had a hell of a better reception than the dude who's got nothing but 13-year-old girls as followers. Why?
You know the biggest prime
personally, for me,
example of there's a huge one going on right now that I think the two of you are forgetting about. The Ben and Jerry's wanting to separate from Unilever. That is going on right now. They do, he stepped down because of the same issue that you're talking about.
Jerry stepped down.
Ben and Jerry, to me, I didn't buy their ice cream again until they sold.
Okay, well, they didn't want to get sold to Magnum because
they told
Magnum
me not
was so.
to, though.
Yeah, they did.
They straight up said,
I'm glad that they took a. I'm glad he took a stand, though.
Don't buy ice cream, and I'm like, all right, I won't.
Since when was ice cream supposed to be about politics?
And that's the most frustrating thing is that the politics became identity. Instead of human, it became politics.
And then it became brand.
Like, I love listening to you talk to me about who you're voting for, because that shows me that you're interested.
And that's the thing. Right. Why can't we just have a conversation about it without having to get butthurt over, well, why are you voting for that person? Because they align with what I believe in, and I feel like they're going to do better, especially when you're voting for your congressman and your senator for your district, your state. I'm not saying that the president isn't important, but those midterm elections matter.
I think people don't understand how much they do
matter.
Absolutely. Your state and local government elections, those matter.
100%.
Those matter.
Those matter.
When I vote for somebody, 9 times out of 10, if I'm doing a local state voting, it's somebody that's going to impact me
personally.
Now, as a 37-year-old, I have guidelines to who I vote for. And I'll tell you straight up right now, to me personally, it fits very, very well. But in the very beginning, if your entire campaign is about how terrible the other person is, not what you're going to do for me,
you lost my eyes and ears. Yeah.
I don't care.
At this point, you're just here for a dog show.
You're not telling me anything. Your campaign should never be about what's negative about the other person. And that's why you should, like, that blows my mind.
And this lady was talking down on Obama. She was like, no, we're not going to do that. Me and Barack may not see eye to eye on a lot of things, but what we're not going to do is we're not going to downgrade a good man, a good husband, and a good father that just wants to do best for his country based off of his beliefs.
Absolutely.
And it's like, again, we can disagree on a lot of things. Yeah. That doesn't mean we have to be at each other's neck.
Paul and I disagree on quite a few things politically, but in the same sense,
I think all three of us do under certain things.
Foundationally, we've done nothing but agree and appreciate each other. So,
and again, we're not meant to agree on everything. It's just impossible for the human nature. It's just not a thing.
The Pelosi Act. Josh Haley originally said that. So something we're gonna break down here real quick, so we don't have to go over this again, because I always get this feeling when I'm watching on TikTok.
Oh boy,
or Facebook or the old Instagram, you got a whole bunch of people talking about politics, and I don't actually think they know anything about politics other than what TikTok has told them, which is really weird. Okay, so Saturday Spin, my friend, I asked, can you define Democrat and Republican for me, please? And here we go. Democrats generally favor progressive policies and a larger role for government, when Republicans lean towards conservative values and limited government intervention. Now, again, I understand that might sound more right-leaning as an opening statement than left-leaning as an opening statement.
They've kind of switched a little bit over the years.
Well, they have, and we'll get to that. We'll definitely get to that. So I asked it also to pull a January 6th, and this is how it described the January 6th to me, because this is something we're going to be talking about. The January 6th Capitol attack was a violent attempt to overturn the 2020 U.S. presidential election led by supporters of Donald Trump. So if you're upset at how I've started this first conversation, but you're not going to be upset about how we're starting the January 6th conversation, turn the fucking channel. So moving on. Democrats generally favor progressive policies and a larger role for government, while Republicans lead toward conservative values and limited government intervention. Me personally, and I'd like to know how you guys feel about this as well, because we'll go further. I think more government is never the answer. Patrick?
No, I agree.
Paul?
100%.
I agree, because it's just certain things they shouldn't be putting their hands in. There's certain things that they shouldn't be involved with, and we'll get into detail that later depending on how you go. But I agree.
Yeah.
There's certain things. Hey,
Yeah.
this belongs to us. As a society, let us decide certain things.
So now that question and the previous statement for me was very black and white. Now we're going to throw in some detail and some context, which is exactly where Paul was coming from. The Democratic Party's philosophy. Now this is just as it stands today. Liberal, left-leaning, emphasis social equality, civil rights, and collective responsibility. I agree with everything, but what confused me was the end, the collective responsibility. Do we know what they meant by that? Do we have a guess? Do we have an idea? Because I don't, and I'm going to ask the AI later.
I got nothing.
So collective responsibility to me sounds like if Patrick was drunk driving and hit a light pole, it was on the collective
to decide
take the
my
responsibility.
fate. Yeah.
I think that's wrong.
I don't.
But that's so confusing to me. I've never heard that before.
Well, I don't understand what that means either.
I can't help you.
By definition, is the principle that a group or whole is accountable for the actions taken by its own members or representatives. Is that based off of like maybe when they vote?
Is embraced by the Democratic Party is the idea that society shares a moral and civic duty to care for one another. Okay,
Right,
so I'm on board with that.
Yeah, that's exactly what that means. Yeah.
That's scientifically, in a scientific term, you're telling me that I should care more about my neighbor than I currently am, more or less. Care for that neighbor, care for thy city, thy
ethics,
community.
policy, law, accountability, all those things. Yeah.
I'm all about that. So right off the bat, regardless on how you want to see it, on who you call yourself, but that is a very strong core of mine. I care about my neighbors generally. I look after them. I care about my neighborhood. I think that those are very important values. How about y'all?
I agree. I would like to think so. And to not want to put harm to my neighbors.
No, absolutely. I like to be a law-abiding citizen.
So here's a little color into the why does the Democratic Party want more government? Because just everything about more government doesn't seem right. Government role supports a strong federal government to regulate the economy and provide social services. Now, I think that that's a very black and white way of saying, for somebody who's black and white, I love that. But there's always, in politics, there's context, there's always subprint. And by control the economy today, to me, that just sounds like you don't want there to be rich people. And I don't know how that's possible, because the government would then be rich.
It's not so much that we don't want rich people, right? I feel like there needs to be, I feel like they're getting too many breaks, in my opinion. In the sense of like, I'm not saying, again, yes, I know that you have a business to run. There's certain things that has to be accomplished, in a sense, for a business to succeed. However, I feel like there's way too many loopholes sometimes, and it's not affecting them as much as it is affecting people like us down here.
Right, but you're talking about the corporate tax system, not the individualized tax system.
Correct.
Yeah. I agree with that. Corporations don't deserve as many tax breaks as they're getting. The fact that some of them actually will claim losses even though they had a profit, and then
Yes,
they can
there are
claim
many loopholes in the American
so many
tax system.
loopholes.
So basically, our tax system is we take the same amount of water from the bottle people that we do from the 5-gallon people.
Yeah,
Because you're taking it out of a 5-gallon pool instead of a bottle of water. Does that make sense?
yeah, it makes sense. I mean, here's the problem, Charles.
So why are we taking more of their water because they have a 5-gallon container?
I'm not saying taking more.
Depending though how they acquired that 5-gallon container.
I'm saying that we as a country we want to punish people for being successful, which is basically what you're saying. And then
I don't want that.
Yeah, that what you don't want to become that, and that's what we become as a country.
This is the perfect conversation for this because that's how we see it as being portrayed. But PR is the perfect opportunity to give us how it's meant to be heard.
In my point of view, I see it as, Charles, you have a Fortune 500 company and you're bringing in millions and millions and millions of dollars every year, right? And then all of a sudden something happens and you need a bailout. You get a bailout and then you're back to normal like nothing ever happened, but the people beneath you are still feeling that impact.
Yeah.
Then Patrick, he just started a business. It's been going good for a couple of years. He's making it. He's chilling. He's doing what he has to do. He's making a decent amount of profit. Same thing happens. He's not rich enough to get a bailout. So he has to file for bankruptcy.
Do you want me to give you a prime example that relates to this right now?
Yeah.
Elon Musk last year, Tesla reported zero federal income tax last year on $2 billion of profit. I think that's what Paul is basically saying. There's so many loopholes, many that it becomes so construed as a person that is living in this country that says, how did they not pay any taxes? How did Donald Trump not pay any taxes? How did Nancy Pelosi make that much money and not pay any taxes?
How are you sustaining all of this, knowing that we could see that you've had gigantic loss, and yet your pockets are not affected in any way, but yet
actually it's actually increasing your net worth. Yeah,
but Patrick is doing everything the right way, doing everything by the book, and yet where's his help?
And that was January 29th, 2025. So that was very
1913, there has been, according to experts, there's no definitive count, but there has been over 600 amendments to our income tax, to our tax codes.
Yeah, they keep changing little things.
And I do know for a fact that all of those pieces of paper for our tax code stacked on top of each other from floor to ceiling wouldn't fit in my room. That's how many pieces of paper there are to our tax code. So yeah, absolutely. There is a huge problem with
there's a disparity. There's
our tax people. Right.
Like you said, you want black and white. There's gray here.
Oh, because to me, it is simply there are people over here with 5-gallon jugs, and there are people with water bottles. And it sounds like you want, because they've got 5-gallon jugs, we should take more than what we're taking from. But arguably, what that's built on is a whole bunch of gray. It is eventually going to break.
This isn't a conspiracy thing. This is look up the net worth of the top 5 tax attorneys in the country, and you will literally be mind blown on how much their net worth is.
I've looked this up. Your basic.
I know. It's not a conspiracy. It does make sense because they're getting a percentage based off of what they file for taxes. I get it, yeah. But it just if you look at the numbers, strictly look at the numbers. You're going to be like, dude, they are cooking books for how many corporations and companies? It is unbelievable.
If you know taxes, you're a very wealthy person. But you're not a very wealthy person on paper. You're a very wealthy person in the form of assets, liabilities, and futures.
You know how to move your money.
It's very, like you get paid to do your own taxes. Like a lot of people don't realize that. Okay, so here's my favorite part too about that. And then we'll go on to the Republican Party here, because I did want to keep this within an hour. Where does foundationally like TurboTax, H&R Block, all that shit? Like who created them?
Tech company.
IRS. Where do they send all your taxes to? They all send them to one fucking place.
The government.
The IRS. If you make less than 6 figures a year, or I think it's like less than 120,000 a year, you should probably just do your own tax. Now, again, don't stop it. If you can, if you could, right? But it's a crazy effing world, and it's really just, it comes down to like 1990s couponing.
Right?
Wow. When do you think? Wow, dude, the deep dive into H&R Block, 1955, pioneered affordable tax preparation. Literally was funded, as you say, through government assistance program. So at the bare minimum, they did it so people
taking your money.
assisted helping people take their at the bare minimum. If you look at this, taxes,
Now,
it was all IRS. Yeah,
CPAs are awesome. They're very knowledgeable, and if you do not have the time, you do not have the ability to do it yourself.
TurboTax has been around since 1984. The software has been around since 84, and guess who was using that software?
Do you want to go down to
the IRS? Self-auditing software.
You want to go down a really huge loophole? You know who created Google? The search engine we use today? Because there used to be an Ask Jeeves.
I remember.
Ask Jeeves is now government only. Just so we're all on the same page. He's still alive.
Larry Page and Sergey Brin, Google Inc., 1994, 1998. PhD students at Stanford University in California. That's who it tells me.
Now ask what role Wikipedia had. I think that's the one that you can go to, right? That you just create shit.
Yeah, you can edit on the fly.
Yeah.
Wikipedia is not the most trustworthy source.
Yeah, but it's like the number 1 and number 2 website every time you open up Google.
Yeah, Wikipedia is run by Wikipedia Foundation, nonprofit based in San Francisco.
Ask what Wikipedia had to do with Google.
Oh, I did. I said, what role did Wikipedia play with Google? And it doesn't tell me. It says they're two separate. Of course, it's going to tell you that. I mean, it's not going to tell you the truth 99% of the time. There are so many glitches in asking AI or Copilot. They tell you the truth based off of what people have published on the internet. That's the problem. By the way, you want to hear a really interesting one that I heard the other day? A group of professors and IT professionals, and I think a bunch of MIT, all these colleges on the East Coast, went and did a 600,000 page research paper on AI and politically written articles over the last like 12 years or 10 years on the internet. 50% of the articles written on the internet are written by AI. So 50% of what you read isn't even written by a person. It's translated from facts on the internet.
I found it, Charles.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Hit us with it, Paul.
Hold on, I gotta open it because it's being stupid. Who uses Wikipedia's content in the products like Google Search and Assistant and pays the Wikipedia Foundation for high-volume access through a commercial service called Wikipedia Enterprise. The partnership also includes collaborative initiatives to make information more accessible and donations from Google to support Wikipedia's work.
Okay, well, for one, Wikipedia can be edited by the user, the person that created the content, and he can put that his birthday is 1901 and the guy is 27 years old. I don't understand how that can be considered fact for Google.
So it says how they work together. Content used. Google pulls information from Wikipedia to populate knowledge panels. Google pays the Wikipedia Foundation for high volume use for content through commercial Wikimedia Enterprise Service. Google provides Wikimedia with access to Google Cloud APIs at no cost to help with projects like digitizing Indic language books. Google uses Wikipedia articles to help combat misinformation on platforms like YouTube. Google has made significant donations to Wikimedia Foundation to support its long-term sustainability. And lastly, the two organizations partner on initiatives to expand and improve content, such as Project Tiger, which increases locally relevant content in several languages.
So it's all BS.
So Google is free and lies.
Yeah. Interesting. The fact that they pay Wikipedia for their content is weird.
I wonder how many people know that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right to draw a distinction. Not credible doesn't mean non-existent. There are indeed links between early internet research, government funding, and the technologies that help shape companies like Google.
Yeah.
The question is how deep and intentional those links were. So
Obviously, enough to make it the number one company in the world.
Thank you so much. Okay, so that was basically all of that stemmed from what is a Democrat. All right. So now here is let me get all the way back up to the top. Sorry about this, team. Okay, so here's some social things that come with Democrat: legal access and Roe versus Wade via abortion, gay marriages, generally supportive, immigration, more open to pathways for citizenship, and less strict enforcement. Republican Party philosophy: conservative, right-leaning, emphasizes tradition, personal responsibility, and individual rights. Government role: advocates for limited government, especially in economic affairs. Prefers private sector healthcare solutions, opposes mandates like those in the Obamacare, which has done. See, this like two things can be true at the same time. Obamacare has done a lot of good for the people it was supposed to. And the people who can't use Obamacare are like, rah. And I guess they have a point too, but like Obamacare has done well. It is kind of in a world where like it didn't have the opportunity to grow because of a political division.
It wasn't the worst decision that this country's ever made by any means. No.
And that's the thing. When we do stuff like this, there's always room for improvement. But to say that it didn't help anybody, people saying that it didn't help anybody, I'm like, it didn't help you.
Yeah. No, it helped many people.
But to say that it didn't help, it did, like it was the worst thing the country did. It's like the country has done way worse than Obamacare or the Affordable Health Care Act, whatever they're calling it now. Like there's been way worse scenarios.
Right.
Now, these definitions reflect current mainstream positions, but both parties have evolved significantly over time. For example, our Democratic Party was founded in 1828, emerging from earlier Democrat-Republican Party led by Thomas Jefferson. Key founder of the Democratic Party was Martin Van Buren, who organized support to elect, that's right, Sir Andrew Jackson. Original principles: states' rights and limited federal government. Opposition to centralized banking and high tariffs. Support for agrarian interest and the common man.
I believe he was the first one that supported small government.
Yeah, the party was rooted in populism and anti-elitism, appealing to frontier settlers and working class voters.
Yeah.
It supported slavery in the South and resisted civil rights reforms until the mid-20th century. By 1930s, under Franklin D. Roosevelt, it embraced social liberalism, launching the New Deal and expanding the federal government's role in economic recovery and welfare. Later, it became a champion of civil rights, labor unions, and progressive reforms. So the Republican Party, founded in 1854 in response to the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which allowed slavery to expand into new territories. Key founders: a coalition of anti-slavery activists, former Whigs, and free soil Democrats. Original principles: opposition to slavery expansion, support for free labor, national unity, and economic modernization. Advocacy for high tariffs, a national banking system, and infrastructure development. The party quickly rose to prominence with the election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860. It led the Union during the Civil War and was instrumental in abolishing slavery. In the 20th century, it became associated with laissez-faire capitalism, low taxes, and conservative social policies. The party's base shifted towards the South after the civil rights era and embraced cultural conservatism and free market economics.
No, in principle, no.
That's common sense.
Human.
I don't care who you are. I don't care what you look like. If you are the right person, if you are the best person for the job, hell yeah,
On
your name, none of that should ever
it
matter.
shouldn't. It shouldn't.
And we will eventually go all the way back to a time where there was not houses on a hill. Just throwing that out there. Society was a lot different then. Your examples: right to vote, right to a fair trial, access to public education facilities. Law says very capitalism. It's French for let do or leave it alone. I'm not a big French fan. All right. So I'm sitting here telling you something every once in a while. They do some really good things like the French fry, French toast. Well, laissez-faire capitalism, which sounds wild, right? But it's an economic theory that promotes minimal government involvement in business and market affairs. Core principles: markets are naturally self-regulating through competition and supply and demand. Government's role should be limited to protecting property rights, enforcing contracts, and maintaining order. Opposes regulations like price controls, which is your basic MSRP today, subsidies, tariffs, and minimum wage laws. Now, the worst part about this is literally just everything I just said, because there was very little regulation in the sense, and that world allows for a top heavy system to be created. It's kind of, I believe personally, how many of these companies got to where they are today, these larger companies in today's world. How do you guys feel about that?
No, that's exactly how it is. I mean, it's made it so much easier for companies to control the narrative on what they want to be and how much leverage they have when it comes to politics and how they can influence people with money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that was our first Saturday spin. We got to know a little bit about each other. Y'all got to hear a little bit more about future politics. We went into defining Democratic, Republican, foundationally, who they were and who they are. And to summarize the show and to kind of put it into a perspective, my hopes for this is for the listeners to recognize human over politics and to understand that even the parties you're profoundly backing today, be it Republican or Democrat, have changed as time has gone on to fit the narrative that better suits their party, not what better suits their supporters. We as humans need to look out for each other. We need to start holding these sons of bees accountable. All right. We can keep asking why they don't have term limits because they're the ones who have to vote on it. But we're the ones who keep voting these people in. Kentucky, California, y'all got to do better. Get
Texas
them
too.
over. Texas, you got to do better.
A handful of states, red and blue, that y'all got some jokers sitting in these offices for way too long.
Get them out. What do you like the people always have the power. The one thing that I am forever grateful to our founding fathers, or however you want to call them now, of this country, is at the ages of 17 to 51, they knew in order to survive, we had to be able to adapt and overcome to the changing times. Right now, what I think our most important adaptation needs to be is recognizing that it's 2025 and the color of your skin shouldn't matter, and we shouldn't be talking about this anymore. But we are. I see it every day now. I see it differently than I once did, thanks to Paul. And this isn't like I didn't go drink Kool-Aid or anything. It literally, he's just like, yo, look what this guy said
every day.
Yo, look
I
what
share
this guy
screenshots
said.
every day of stupid things.
These people exist. So, yeah.
And it's unfortunate people don't see it because they're not around it enough to experience it.
Well, and the way the algorithm works,
it's going to feed you what you want.
The moment you tell it, like, oh, I don't like these videos, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. But we're going to have many conversations moving forward. I'm very excited. I wanted to get to the January 6th. This was our pilot episode. This was breaking down politics. And hopefully by the end of this, you understand that here on this show, we are not for Democrats or Republicans. We are here for the human.
The people.
So we are going to take the information as we hear it, and we're going to discuss it amongst ourselves, and then bring that foundation to y'all, the listeners. All of your feedback, of course, is absolutely necessary. Anything you want to hear about, anything you're confused about, if you're wondering where all of our sources come from, I promise you most of it comes from .gov, and you'll hear me say it a lot as we go through what happened on January 6th. That's straight Wikipedia.
Oh, you mean Google? You mean Google? Politically accurate.
Yeah, so ca.house.gov,
Yep.
transcripts. These were msn.com/Fox News, factuality.co, which is a fact-checking website, Fox News, MSN, CNN. That's where everything that we talked about today, .gov, that's where we receive all of that information from. I check and double check on this. This is not like our Monday Fun Day games, right? So if y'all have any questions, concerns, please ask in the comments. We will absolutely get to them on every show. We appreciate the hell out of you. Y'all got anything else you want to say?
No, I'm good.
I'm good now. I'm just.
I can't wait for next week.
I can't wait to see how people respond to this. To see the open-mindedness.
So on our other shows, I like to remind you, and there is no different, that the world is a much better place with you in it. But on this show, I'm just simply going to remind you that we're all human, and your educated vote is the most profound weapon of democracy that you can choose. It is not any man-made machine. It is your human right to vote that will allow and create the most change. Be well, my friends, and we'll see you next Saturday.